I say it was highly unusual. A man being attacked by a werewolf in a London park. And he swears that it was not an animal that attacked him. As a matter of fact, it wasn't a man. It was a woman.
Who done it? We're gonna find out. Gonna find out what the mystery is about. Literally,
everything's a Backyardigans reference to you.
Cinematic fantastic.
Klaatu, Barada, Nikto.
I'll show you who I am and what I am.
Bitten by a werewolf and lives, becomes a werewolf himself.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hello and welcome to the Cinematic Fantastic Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Weatherford.
And your other host, William Weatherford.
Get ready for opinions, dad jokes,
and bad jokes
as we watch and review sci-fi and fantasy films from the classics of yesteryear to the new favorites of today.
and we are doing it again. Hello, guys. Welcome to the Cinematic Fantastic Podcast, episode 49.
Hi.
I realized that we were supposed to be alternating, and then we ended up doing, like, you were introducing each episode for, like, 8 consecutive episodes. And then I realized,
mean the introducing thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I realized that, like, where am I supposed to be alternating? But, we'll just do it however we wish. It's fine.
We'll roll a die. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, we'll flip a coin. So, what are we doing today? We are reviewing a horror movie called She-Wolf of London, 1946.
I think people have said that there's a certain Universal movie that this one feels more like, and I think we mentioned it before, but what would you say? Before we even get into what this movie is, what's the feel of it to you?
It definitely feels a little bit like Dracula's Daughter, but only in the sense that there is a main female cast, and it's about a female, and that...
I would think also Werewolf of London, just because it's in London, it's almost like a Victorian kind of thing. There's lots of constables and bobbies all saying, "Oh, I'm Inspector Herbert, and I'm trying to..."
Yeah, but there's also, they went into, like, the Tibet and, like, the gardening big manor space, which was cool, and the science lab, and all that is not present in this movie. It's literally just the one thing.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a couple things that, yeah, go ahead.
Is where's the London in She-Wolf of London? Like, it's literally all Midwest country ape style, like, greenery. And by the ape, I mean, because there was
and we'll talk about this when we get to the plot, but there's a mansion, there's the park, there's the riding area right outside the mansion, and then maybe there's Scotland Yard office. That's it.
Yeah, and some, like, misty streets, I guess, near the park, where they show some of the police doing some things.
A little bit, yeah. Whenever you see, like, the park benches, you're in the park. And then that area where they're racing, it's, like, outside of the park. I think it's between the mansion, the Allenby mansion, and the park. We'll have to talk. We'll talk about
apparently,
what that means.
Behind the scenes, this was the hacienda portion of the Universal Studios backlot, where they filmed westerns. Which I would not film it there if it was in a London movie. Like,
so it's like,
where's the country in London?
I didn't see the Mexico. I didn't see the Texas. I didn't see that.
I saw the greenery and the, very homely style, I guess, it's in this movie.
They must have changed something about the mansion to make it look more Mexican, or the park. I don't know. I didn't see it. That's news to me.
Well, just because it's a specific portion doesn't mean that it's precisely, a hacienda, right? Because westerns aren't precisely in Mexico all the time.
No, you're right. And it's probably like a California mansion.
Feel.
Yeah. And also, not all the accents sound completely British. Like, the main character, Phyllis Allenby, she does not sound super British. The detective, the inspector, and the cops, they all sound British.
Yeah,
but the main characters, not so much.
From the cast of characters, we seem to have a mystery on our hands.
I find that mysterious.
Yep.
It's labeled as a horror movie, but I feel like, from the first part of it, they're like, oh, there's a werewolf around, but the thing is, it's not a literal wolf person, and it's a female. That is the gimmick, is subverting the expectations, which
and
I guess makes it some
we'll
sort
talk
of
about what that
paranormal
is.
drama mystery. It's literally whodunit, basically. It's literally
and
who's the werewolf.
we'll spoil it soon, very soon. I'm sure we'll spoil it for you. We'll spoil it just at the right point in the plot. We don't want to tell you too much.
But who's the werewolf? Let's begin the story.
All right. Well, the story starts out Scotland Yard, which of course is infamous for being in a lot of the Sherlock Holmes movies and things like that. A lot of these Victorian England, there's always Scotland Yard.
I'm like,
trying to solve crimes.
Surely there isn't like any more agencies, detective agencies, like even like a local one, local police. It's literally just Scotland Yard.
Well, there's Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson's little outfit, but that's
really like the only
fictional.
thing we've seen. Like literally, what would I would give to have like some film set in France to get Interpol in there?
Yeah,
and that spices things up a little.
Well, there's actually a French detective, isn't he in the Edgar Allan Poe? Isn't it Dupin? Auguste Dupin? I don't know if he's like his own guy. I don't know if he, like Sherlock Holmes was his own guy. He was a consulting detective. Sometimes Scotland Yard would actually come and ask him for help. Sometimes. And sometimes he just got in the way. We've got Detective Latham, played by Lloyd Corrigan, and he definitely looks like a Watson, like a Dr. Watson for some reason. I guess it's the shape of him, and the mustache. But
he probably isn't very inconspicuous in terms of if you would turn around, he wouldn't appear right where you turn in front of.
No, I know what you're talking about. Sherlock Holmes, like consulting detective, or what was that game? Yeah. Every time you move away,
around,
he would just
always
be there.
be in view.
Yeah, we'll have to put a clip of that in there somewhere.
Though it's a 3D game, so it's definitely
it is.
Definitely,
it's. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Life.
You're like, you give me a heart attack. Anyway, he's telling him we need to go to the scene of the crime. I guess he's kind of trying to start the story. He believes that it is a werewolf, and because there was an attack on a man, and the inspector thinks it's a dog, and
we do see a dog in this movie.
We see a couple. And I think
there's this German Shepherd that like hops in with like suspenseful music. I'm like, is that the werewolf?
He jumps over the garden wall too.
Yeah, and then they'd be like,
those are not dogs.
And it's
okay. Those are scarlet fish. Those are red herrings. There's so many red herrings in this. There's like I'm going to point out if we can do like a count of red herrings. I don't know. Maybe I'll.
Yeah, but there's a scene where like our protagonist is walking along, and then later on, and then the music like goes da 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 da. When the German Shepherd like hops down, I'm like, is that the werewolf? According to the music,
I think it's just a thing to kind of go, hey, could be those dogs, and you're like,
yeah, it's
it comes to like a lot of things in this movie. It comes to nothing. So anyway, back to this. They go to the scene of the crime. They get a carriage. Next to where they're going to check out the scene of the crime, we've got two main characters here. We got Barry Landfill. So I say Landfill. Landfield, because he's garbage. No, he's actually a pretty cool dude. He's a good dude. Barry Landfield is played by Don Porter, and then we've got Phyllis Allenby, played by June Lockhart of Lost in Space fame. She was the mom, Mrs. Robinson, in Lost in Space, which is a very influential sci-fi show back in the 50s, 60s. I just remember, Danger Will Robinson, the robot.
And then eventually they simplified the idea to Lost.
No. And actually, there was a Lost in Space reboot. There was a movie that came out, which we may see at one time. But there's a rebooted TV series, streaming series on Netflix called Lost in Space. But anyway, they're riding together, and of course, they're going to get married. And they have a little bet, like, oh, if I race you down to this place, then I get to choose our wedding day. It's playful. It's just to kind of get that they're kind of playful about their wedding. But they are listening in, and the two detectives are talking about what they find. And it's making Phyllis a little bit nervous when she hears about it. And she wants to go home. And so, okay, for whatever reason. Of course, her last name is Allenby. And in the very beginning of the movie, we get this little, not a crawl, but a title scene that says there's an Allenby curse. We don't exactly know what that is, but we find out later. All right, so now, speaking of Allenbys, we're at the Allenby estate. It's a big mansion. We meet Carol Winthrop, which is the daughter of Martha Winthrop. They are like housekeepers of some sort, because I know that there's another character named Hannah the housekeeper, played by Eiley Mallion. She's an older lady. She does a lot of the clothes and stuff like that. It's like the housekeeper. All the other lady does is she's almost like the butler. She's just like this, and she almost like owns the home. And she acts like she owns the home. And we'll talk about that later. But so yeah, Carol is bringing the dogs in. And I guess they got bought recently, according to them. And she says, Hannah, can you do me a favor? I got this note that I want you to give to the chemist down the way. And Hannah knows what it is. It's a love note. It's a secret way of sending the love note. Well, the mother, Martha, was listening in and kind of goes, Hannah, come here. Give me that note. Oh, I know what this is. Carol loves the chemist, but Martha doesn't like that because the chemist's name is Dwight Severn, and we don't see him until toward the end of the movie. And I was like, oh, so the actor who plays him, I was like, oh, I know that guy. And whenever I name it, you're gonna be like, oh, right. So Martha does. You probably don't know what I'm talking about. Probably do. Martha doesn't approve of the romance because he's penniless. He's got no money. She wants to be able to provide a good life for her daughter by getting her to marry a rich guy. Well, this is common in those movies, anyway, or books as well. So Martha brings Carol in and Carol inside and goes, "I need to tell you a secret that you didn't know." And this, I wrote it down, so I have to figure out how to tell you this. Martha tells Carol that Carol's not Phyllis's cousin. She's not related to her at all. Martha's not Phyllis's aunt. She is the woman who almost married Reginald Allenby, Phyllis's father. Right before Martha married Carol's dad, Reggie said he would love her always, and then he didn't. He married Phyllis's mother 1 year after Martha married Carol's father, and he was poor. Are you getting any of this?
I think so.
Carol's father died, leaving Martha with a small child.
But this is a very very big event to not lay onto someone that someone didn't notice. This is only for like foreshadowing, or not foreshadowing later. It's a detail for later, but it's very
basically
mysterious.
they because of what happened to Phyllis's parents and the whole I loved her dad and he loved me, and they're dead. Okay, Phyllis's parents are gone or dead or whatever. And the whole key is if Phyllis decides to get married with Barry, which she is, then Martha thinks they're going to kick Martha and Carol out. So it's like, you don't need to get with Dwight Severn. He's poor. That happened before. It didn't go so well for us. So, okay.
Basically a disapproving mother, basically.
A lot.
He's just like, go marry someone richer.
Yeah.
Marry someone a little richer.
More like Barry. She actually wants to. I either think that Martha wants Carol to eventually marry. I say this a bunch of times. Marry Barry, or marry someone like Barry. Does that make sense? So Phyllis is outside with Barry, and the dogs have cornered them. They're barking at him. So this is supposed to be another, I think, red herring number one, because the dogs, they like everybody except they don't like Phyllis. Well, in a lot of the movies we've seen, animals don't react very well to like Lon Chaney, or I should say Larry Talbot, or to Henry Hull's character Glendon, Dr. Glendon. They don't react very well to the vampire guy either. Animals can sense the evil or something. So the fact they're barking is supposed to be a red herring to show, oh, she's different. Oh, she's the baddie, secretly or something. Whatever. Dogs just don't like her. That's really the truth. So later that night, Phyllis is going to bed, and there's a lot of scenes of her about to go to bed, and Martha comes in, and so Phyllis is putting out a lantern. It's like I guess Allenby's are Scottish. I don't know why. Put out a lantern to be a charm against evil spirits and whatever. So hang on just a second. Sorry, I was a little bit thirsty. So Martha comes in and that was good. So Martha comes in. Martha brings in some warm milk to put her to sleep. I was saying she put a little bit of extra love in the milk. I was thinking it was maybe melatonin or something.
Very good read.
Now,
This is a very
as Martha,
mysterious action. Mysterious. Very mysterious.
Very mysterious.
Yeah. In case you don't know, that's a reference to Backyardigans, which I instantly thought of when I said
everything's
this is a
reference.
whodunit. Like, it just popped in my head. Whodunit? We're gonna find out. Gonna find out what the mystery is about. Literally,
hey, everything's a Backyardigans reference to you. This is gonna be like
that had some of the best songs,
running theme
like
in our podcast.
And then the mysterious, very mysterious. Those are some of the best songs of the season.
And they had some similar. Did they have some similar plots actually?
Well, they're just whodunits.
Wasn't there a plot where they were
actually,
detectives with the deerstalker caps on, and there was like a bad
it was
bad
also the episode that made me realize that I like Le Jazz Manouche. I really like it.
What's Le Jazz Manouche?
It's jazz, but it's got a fast pace and it's got a string section like a violin and bass, and
really?
Some guitars as well.
Okay, you have
It's from the Romani descent.
Oh, whenever you are editing this, you can you find some, and put some.
Yeah, put some in the background. It's
right there.
It's great, honestly.
Okay.
I love.
You
the
put
style.
it there.
It's
I'm
so
not
good.
gonna find it. I won't have time this week, but you
It's also
find
called
it.
hot club jazz, or the hot jazz in a club, or whatever.
Okay, is that like hot yoga or like?
Yeah, I'm avoiding the.
Where you put goat yoga, or put the goats on their back and make them do yoga?
No, it is not.
No, it is not. Okay.
But it's got to be one of the best episodes. But yeah, who done it? We're gonna find out.
So Martha catches Carol sneaking out late to see Dwight Severn, and she wears like a full-length dress and a head covering kind of thing. That's another situation because you see this kind of head-covered female character exiting from the Allenby mansion almost in every night scene.
Just like the Backyardigans episode. When there's a character in brown rags, I guess, and a brown scarf covering the face, who seems to tell, like, they always, like, are chasing after him because he's, like, teleporting. And he also changes character.
I wonder if there's any kind of inspiration from this movie.
Or it's a trope.
Okay, so make a mental note of her appearance. All right, so now it's nighttime. These two police officers are patrolling the park, and there's a she-wolf attack on a young child. Phyllis wakes up the next day and notices blood on her hands. I didn't see any blood. Did you? I made a note that it was in black and white. I couldn't tell. It could have been like dried blood.
I think
but
this is one of the first of these Universal horror movies to mention blood. Or, like, show it, because there's, like, a scene where a guy's, like, going, ugh, and there's, like, effect down.
Oh,
and it's
no, he's holding his neck. Yeah, there's a guy who gets killed. He's holding,
here, and it's, like, I noted that they don't usually do that.
Do you like your Universal... If you like your Universal-style movies with blood, have I got a studio for you?
Yeah, now it's... Yeah, I was about to say that it's
Hammer
not...
Studios,
it's not
the
like... red Kool-Aid blood from like the 80s where it's like it's just red juice and it's like
I mentioned this
that's
before.
Fine to have all over like Rambo or something.
I mentioned Kensington gore is what Hammer movies were famous for. Kensington is in British, but the blood
they just have like jelly on them.
Well, the Hammer and the blood movies look like red paint. I'm serious. If you
most 80s movies, most 80s movies like 80s horror movies, that's what it looks like.
Well, it doesn't to me. It does really look like paint in the Hammer movies, more so than
it is
I think
often
any other
quite
studio's
colorful.
works.
When
yes,
blood
it
isn't ordinarily.
Phyllis's shoes are muddy, and she has wet clothes. She had a bad dream the night before about stalking and hunting. She starts mentioning the Allenby curse. Of course, Martha's like, no, you're okay. None of that happened. That's impossible, child. But
which is, I thought it was weird that like the approach was that dispelling that she is insane, because she's like, I think I'm going insane, and it's like, you're not insane. You're perfectly sane. Rather than calling the ideas insane or preposterous.
No, it's a reverse.
It's like, what are you preposterous? Okay. What are you thinking? You're a werewolf?
Well, I'll talk about what this.
Instead, the word sane is used, which is used later on. They use this word very particularly, I guess. Which
but what Martha is doing to Phyllis is
very mysterious.
It has a term that's being called now, and the term actually comes from a 1940 movie. It's gaslighting. The movie from 1940 is called Gaslight. You know, Gaslight was in the Victorian era. You had had gas that would come through these little. It wasn't very good for you, but it would come through these tubes, and you would just light it. It would just, so you'd have lights in your house. You wouldn't use like candles anymore. You would use gas that you would light. They call it Gaslight. And in the movie, I'll sum it up real quick. In the movie Gaslight, which it's fantastic, you need to watch it, but at some point. But the husband character is constantly telling the wife, hey, you're doing that thing again where you are telling me you lost your brooch or you lost something and you hid it away, didn't you? And she's like, no. He goes, are you having one of your, your issues, your mental thing, So it's basically, but you watch him in the movie and he steals the brooch from her and hides it. He took a painting off the wall and hid it. And he goes, where's the painting? It's gone. What did you do? I didn't do anything. And so she starts thinking she's going crazy. She's actually hearing noises in the roof, in the attic, and she's starting to think she's going crazy. And it's all him trying to find these rubies that he's really wants to find. He's obsessed. He actually murdered a woman for him, but he's making her feel crazy. And that's the thing is.
Sorry, just imagined.
It's called gaslighting.
Yeah, I imagined Link, just the pots for the rubies, but he's doing that to people. He's like, I gotta kill all of the cuckoos, I guess, or the choo-choos to get all the rubies.
Who comes up with this stuff?
I don't know. Choo-choos and slime.
Yeah,
I think.
Pea hats. Yeah,
the pea hats. Those are.
Yeah.
You have to get they fly. Anyways.
Okay, so they come downstairs to eat breakfast. Martha says, hey, just act like everything's normal. They start eating. And then Carol loves to do this. She must be like a crime podcaster because she comes down and she's like, look at this story from the news. It talks about a little boy who got killed, but there was so much blood and he was cut from head to toe and his
sensationalism, am I right?
Right. She starts like, what? I'm just at breakfast talking about murder, and Phyllis is like going crazy. She's like, no. And she runs away, goes to her bedroom, and pretty much, isolates herself away. The next day Barry comes up, Barry can't see her. Carol comes up and goes, what is going on? What's going on with you and tells Barry what's going on with you and Phyllis. And he's like, hey, I need to talk to somebody about this. You want to go on a carriage ride? So they go off, and I'm like, is this where Carol like moves in on Barry? Like Martha wants, but no, it doesn't. Carol is actually, she is a good character. Phyllis is good. She's going.
What do you mean? Do you mean a good character in terms of the way that she was built story wise, or rather the type of personality she has?
The type of personality she has.
Okay, that's an important distinction, because a good character implies that you're saying story wise that it's a good built character.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I think all of them are just,
Morally speaking, she makes really good choices.
She makes really good choices, and her role in this story, I guess, is
yeah,
it's not
except
done.
She does disobey her mother. She just disobeys her mother, which, if you want to go,
but that is an important distinction.
But her mother deserves to be disobeyed.
You're saying something is a good character, then you're like,
morally.
You mean the things they do, not the who they are.
Bingo.
Who they were
So
written
that
to be.
night, Detective Latham comes over, and he's asking questions. The Allenby estate is less than a mile from where the murders happen. And Latham asks them about, do you own dogs? And so Hannah's like, I wish you took those dogs away. They're terrible. They're horrible. And Latham is talking to Martha about the dogs, and he eventually just leaves. So Phyllis is trying to sleep, but the dogs are howling. So she puts cotton balls in her ears to keep that from happening.
I think Carol actually asks about that. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, I have to block out the noise. And then they have their own little talk.
Yeah, and this is where I thought it was really good. Carol comes in and says, I've got nice broad shoulders, meaning I can carry some of the weight of what you're dealing with. I can carry it for you.
I was wondering if
she's like Sam Gamgee to her Frodo a little bit there.
Yeah, at first I was wondering, are they trying to hint that she's a werewolf because the shoulders are broadening? She's becoming the wolf.
No,
I was like, what? Is she going to say that she has broad shoulders?
I didn't think that till later. Whenever we see her,
I don't know. It's hard to get the figurative sense of
They're
that.
trying to throw out, Oh, right. It's nighttime. Let me take another.
Did you
This warm milk is so.
You specifically got a random cup, filled it with milk in the microwave, just for
I didn't microwave it. It's cold.
Well, it's got to be warming up as the podcast is going on because you didn't put ice in it. Otherwise, it would be like a boba tea sort of thing.
There actually, I was remembering wrong. There is actually a movie. Check this. There's a movie, a suspense movie or something, where the milk is actually poisoned. And they take like a bulb of, I don't know how they do this. They take a bulb, like a light bulb, and they put it either inside the cup or somehow, and it makes the white of the milk on black and white film, it makes it glow. It gives it kind of a glow look. And I was like, that's awesome.
Well, got to do that for the milk commercials.
Yeah, I don't
got
know.
milk.
Well, you know what they do? You know what they do when they pour milk into cereal and it has that kind of glop when they do the.
It's glue.
It's glue. You're right.
Can't eat it. Don't.
You won.
Anyways.
No, you can't. So Phyllis says. Phyllis is like, no, it's okay. I'm not going through anything. Of course, she's lying. At that night, there is a police patrol in the park, and Latham's there. And he falls to the she-wolf werewolf woman. We see a cloaked woman again leaving the house. So, and every time that happens, we see the German shepherds jump over the wall as well. And I think that's to kind of go, hey, if that's not the she-wolf woman, there's
Who let the dogs out?
She did.
She did.
The Baja men actually let the dogs out. All right, so, and I never want to hear that song as long as I live. I really don't.
Well, I mean, you go to
I hate it.
Taco Bell at least weekly, so you're reminded of them every time you drink a Mountain Dew related beverage.
Baja Blast.
Yes.
So the next morning, Martha comes in.
Speaking of which, Mountain Dew, I tried a little bit, and I'm like, this literally is just like water with citrus. A little of citrus. It tastes
and poison.
It's very light, and I was like, "How on earth could people drink this?"
It's a chemical. It tastes like a chemical. It really does.
Yeah, it does.
You can't say
it's paint consistency. Paint lightness.
It tastes like antifreeze.
Well, it's not like it's not like gloopy paint, but I mean that how paint is like a very light water sort of thing.
Or it tastes like paint remover. Or something.
Or yeah.
Paint stripper.
Saw a guy turn paint remover or something like that into cherry.
Yeah.
Cherry flavor.
So Martha comes in the next day. The door was unlocked. Carol says, "Oh, hey, did you know about this murder?" Like, she loves murder. She goes, "Do you know about this murder? Scotland Yard detective got killed last night." And Phyllis is like, "No, I did it. I did it."
I must have.
She's like, I need to go to a doctor. And Phyllis says, if you go there, you're going to get put in an insane asylum. That's what's going to happen to you. Okay. So Carol and Barry Carol and Barry are out riding. Barry still wants to see Phyllis, and Carol says, haven't you ever overruled a woman? Don't let my mom tell you what to do. Oh, because she don't either. She's like, I don't let my mom tell me what to do. Yeah, she don't know me. And she's like,
you don't understand.
You're gonna let my mom tell you what to do? You do what you want, right? I do what I want. So Barry comes in later that afternoon, just walks right up, and Martha's like, she won't go with you. She doesn't want to. And then the very next scene, they're in a carriage. Just, yeah, nice try.
Yeah.
But while they're out, Barry knows that this is the Allenby curse, has something to do with wolves. And he's like, I don't believe in werewolves. And they start talking to Pythagoras and Shakespeare. And he starts quoting Shakespeare. And she's like, no. I mean, how many times has someone read Shakespeare to you and you freaked out? But it just, that's what happened. So later that night, the inspector, Pierce, because he's the only one left. They got Latham is dead. He's heading up a whole larger group of police. And he says, anybody that can't provide a good alibi, you take them in. If you tell them to halt and they don't halt, you fire a shot.
Yeah, because after all, you need an alibi in order to solve the alibi curse.
The Allenby curse.
Allenby curse. Yep.
Yes. Okay, so a cloaked female figure leaves the Allenby estate and we get to see her face. And it's Carol. So now we are meant to think that the she-wolf is Carol. That's kind of how they're going with it. Well, Barry might think she is.
Forgot. I don't remember exactly when this was. This might have been like one of the first time, I remember there were the police and there was like this cry off screen when the werewolf gets somebody, and it was really weird. Well, yeah, no, but it was like, I literally wrote a hi in my notes.
Hi.
Kamehameha.
Kamehameha.
But it's like
later on. This is one of the things that doesn't make sense. We're meant to think this is a she-wolf, so it goes makes that noise. But when you find out who was making that noise, you're like,
and first of all, it's like how
did you make that noise?
It's humanoid. We know it's humanoid off the offset, which is like the hook. It's like, oh, it's a subversion. But it's like, why are you making wolf noises?
Go figure. Okay,
yeah,
so,
and
this
anyway,
is
really weird cry out noise that I was like, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, so weird as in that it's unusually disturbing.
Yeah, Barry
because it's like it's
spying
literally
on,
like a child almost. It sounds almost like a child.
That was the child murder. Yeah,
and it's weird and it's a little bit disturbing.
Okay, so we see Dwight Severn played by Martin Koslek. Where do we remember Martin Koslek from?
I don't know, but Koslek sounds like a familiar surname.
RoccoW.
Like a Brian Koslek or something.
No, the RoccoW guy from Mummy's Curse. He was the guy with the he's actually the guy that kept playing German characters a lot. He's in this movie. He's sitting on a park bench. He's waiting for Carol. They're having a late night rendezvous or whatever. It looks like Carol is sneaking up on Dwight. At first I thought, Carol, are you going to go like, gotcha? It's supposed to be one of those like jump moments or whatever. No, it's really the she-wolf trying to attack Dwight. It's not Carol. We find out because it attacks Dwight and they scare it away or her away. And then Carol comes around and goes, oh, hello. And it's like, so now we've got Carol, Dwight, and Barry with the cops there, and they're really suspicious about him. And they take him downtown to talk to him. And then we don't see any of the interrogation. It just goes to the next scene. The next morning, and Barry comes over. He confronts Carol and definitely thinks she's the she-wolf. And she's going to play around with it like, oh, if you want to interrogate me, Mr. Lawyer, well, we have to go to the library for that. And I have to be seated. She's kind of playing with him, thinking he's not serious. But he's like, I'm serious. Carol says that she has met Dwight Severn for 3 times a week for the longest time. She's going to continue to do it. Martha is in the next room. She hears about that. Oh, she doesn't like that. So after Barry leaves, satisfied with the conversation, Carol's mother demands that she no longer meet Dwight. And Carol said, well, I'm not going to marry Barry. I'm not going to marry Barry Landfield. I'll be glad when Phyllis marries Barry. See, she's cool, right? Martha says Barry's never going to marry Phyllis. She's insane. And ends the scene with that. So later that night, Phyllis is reading a lycanthropy book. She's reading Fangoria magazine.
Yeah, before this though,
it's the werewolf special.
Did we talk about her Phyllis goes to Carol and is like, "Please call the police on my behalf."
Yes, that's about to happen. Yeah.
Well, that happened before then
right
because this,
no, it didn't.
This is one of the final scenes.
No, it happened now, right now.
No,
so
wait,
Phyllis,
hold on. Phil, yeah.
She gathers
Phil asked her
items up in
to,
a
but then she
cloth.
stops her. Yeah.
So Carol comes downstairs and the mom thinks that she's meeting with Dwight, but no, she's going to the police because Phyllis gave her all the evidence that makes her think that she's a wolf killer. Carol leaves to go get the cops, and she's secretly followed by Barry and then secretly Dwight.
4 people tagging each other.
Yes, and basically it's just to get. Honestly, it's story-wise, and we'll find this out. It's just to get them away from the situation, so you only have two or three characters left for something for the end of the movie to happen.
But yeah,
so
you got like a people chain following each other for like no reason. It's very funny, comical.
So Martha, hold on a second. Martha goes and gets a big old glass.
Yeah, this is the scene. I thought that you were gonna skip the former scene in favor of this one.
Martha comes upstairs with a big old glass of milk with a little bit of love in it. She gives the milk to Phyllis and makes her drink all of it to the very last drop. And Phyllis starts tripping out.
As in falling asleep.
Oh, well, yeah, she starts seeing stuff.
And then Martha's like, "Yes, I drugged you."
She's like, "Are you drugging me? Just so to keep to keep me from
yes,
hearing
I
the
am
dogs?"
drugging
and
you.
She's like,
"Because I want to kill you."
I want to kill you. Yeah, it's awesome. It's kind of awesome, but it's kind of a letdown as well.
You don't go tell. Yeah, she says that if you were to leave here alive, then you would go to the police, and the police would find your story sane. But I want to keep you insane.
Yes,
and that's
she said something about
sane and insane is the word in key here.
Well, another good character. When I first watched this movie, I was like, I wonder if Hannah this is like if she's really a she-wolf. And in fact, I'll tell you how I would have done this movie better, and honestly, it would have been.
I'd be very interested to hear that.
So Hannah's not the she-wolf, of course. She's just a good character. She's morally. She overhears and threatens to go to the cops. And she's always not liked Martha, right?
Yeah, but Martha is going to kill.
She runs after her with a knife. Hannah.
She's going
to kill Hannah.
She's going to kill. No, hold on. She's going to kill Phyllis, all because she wants to marry a non-rich dude. She is at the point where it's like, oh, she's doing something disagreeable, so I have to kill her. This is, she's
not going to kill Carol. She wants Carol. She wants Carol to marry somebody like Barry.
Like controlling parents, to the extent of, abusing or mishandling their children.
But she has to kill Hannah now. She comes after her with a knife and slips down the stairs like they're made out of banana peels, or she's she's trying to walk up.
I wanted to say yes. Sorry,
she stabs herself. She stabs herself with the knife.
I want to
like that.
shoot. Sorry.
Yeah,
could you please? I just wanted to talk about this last scene. How well acted it is. It did need music during it, but she's here like shaking, like talking about all these things with this tone that's like, it's so weird, man. And she's holding up this knife and she's like drawing it out.
Yeah.
Man, that was the one thing I liked about this movie. Was the acting during that. It's like it's a little underrated.
But did you feel like it was a letdown though? Because the whole movie it's a universal monster movie, so you're expecting a monster. It's kind of like in Jurassic Park where he goes.
Now eventually you do plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right?
Though because this is a whodunit, like literally just like the whole movie is just like, who is this person, and then answering that was clear during the beginning.
Exactly. So Martha's dead. Yay.
Yeah. Okay. About this scene.
And Barry and everybody
about
come
this
in
scene. About this scene. I'll give.
Wraps up real quick.
About this scene. I'll give you some, like a personal thing. I during my childhood, when I was young, like 6 or so years old. Remember
I
we'd
was there.
scoot down the stairs on a blanket, like slide down it like it's like a ski
or a cardboard
piece
of cardboard. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was pretty much fine while doing that. This is basically what she does. She just rolls down the stairs. And
like it's made out of
yeah, the steps are also rounded by the red carpet. And then like even still, at most you'd get hit by like a stair step or two on the way down. Nothing fatal. She just dies.
But you're not supposed to hold knives that way. You're not supposed to hold scissors you're not supposed to run with scissors. You're not supposed to run with knives. I mean, that's like, parent 101.
But yeah, they teach that at 3 years old. They're just like, the moral of the story, don't walk with the knife. Put the kitchen knife back in the kitchen. Use it responsibly.
She got her just desserts, is what I'm saying. But here's the thing, though. I've read reviews where people said they were disappointed that there was no monster at all.
I think it was clear from the beginning that they said the monster isn't a literal wolf, right? It's that it's a humanoid and it's a woman.
A woman could be a monster. I mean, but this woman, she definitely was a monster in terms of.
Well, yeah, no, but the whole thing was that like I guess apart from like fangs, she chokes people out. But she has fangs to snarl. She has a wolf.
I wonder if
voice.
she used like a tool or something to pull their throat out or something.
Yeah, but she's just a woven.
There's this garden claw thing or something.
That's hard to say. A woven woman.
Woven woman.
That's with a V.
That's very good. Did a very good job.
But yeah, they end this movie.
How I would have done this differently.
Hold on, they end this movie with the last.
Yeah, go ahead.
You went through this pretty fast, so I was like, I had some thoughts. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is like the last one. Is the last line is Barry goes back in and she's like, oh, she was going to kill me. She says, but his immediate response is, no, dear, she won't kill anyone else. Rather than like, what do you mean she was gonna kill you? Because she didn't know that at all, or that he didn't know that at all. So he would be like, what do you mean? No one's gonna kill you, right? But no, dear, she won't kill anyone else, is like as if he knew. It's probably not on the list of Telltale game responses. The four at the bottom of the screen.
No.
Phyllis will remember that.
Right. No, what would you have done with this movie differently if you were to improve it at all?
Phyllis will remember that she won't kill anyone else. Let's see. I think... I feel like we have like a main character who's sort of like a Nancy Drew sort of thing, except there's no proactive teenager spunk.
Yeah.
We're all protagonists.
Yes.
George and May, is it? I don't remember. Madison? I don't remember. It's been a while. I only read like the second book about the barn or something, the secret barn.
The one everybody reads was like something about
we're gonna solve a mystery.
A stair inside of a tree or something. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that was it. Or like something to do with a red barn clock or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Way too long. I was reading Hardy Boys instead.
Hardy Boys is a little bit. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Anyway.
Encyclopedia Brown.
I don't have a big high opinion on either of those. They're all children's detective series, and I haven't read too much of them, so I can't speak on that. But I feel like if you sort of went that direction where you're like instead, I think actually the UK title for this movie was called The Curse of the Allenbys, and I was like, and they didn't present it really as a horror movie, right?
Then the plot would have fit.
Yeah, it's a fitting title.
But the fact that you said the She-Wolf of London, and
this is a mystery story.
We in America had Werewolf of London that had an actual werewolf in it.
Yeah, I feel like werewolves are irrelevant. Or she-wolves in this case. Which actually, fun fact, were means man in the Greek or Latin. So that's why they made it she-wolf.
And I think to say she-wolf, you'd say whiff, or W-Y-F wolf. Whiff wolf. Yes.
Woof woof.
So a werewolf is a man wolf, and a whiff wolf is a female wolf. So that's actually the right term for it. So I would have had Martha be a literal she-wolf. She had the same, the two teeth on the bottom, like Henry Glendon did, and the widow's peak looking thing,
just like a werewolf,
pointed ears.
I was thinking about we talked earlier about Kurt Sudmak's idea for the Wolfman was more psychological,
right?
And that's sort of what they were doing with it's like it's all in your head.
Yeah, but do you remember what they said? They said that it didn't pop for them. They couldn't make makeup for that. They couldn't do something cool with it.
Yeah, also it's just like they didn't write anything that could accommodate that well. They didn't you don't have don't remember his last name, James from Silent Hill has like this, great psychological journey of things that aren't real, but he's just like a normal guy in the middle of it. Well, not exactly normal, but it's weird and complicated, but still, there's so many ways you could do that better than this. They didn't. Yeah, and they didn't give her room as a character to do that well.
Maybe there could be a secret room that they show at the end, and there's like a little Pomeranian dog in there moving things around. that was from Silent Hill.
Yeah, that's one of them where you
it's some of the weirdest.
You get the dog house key, and then you a room near the end. You just open it, and then he's like, it was a dog all along, and then he bows.
Right. So in this movie, it was a dog all along named Martha. Martha speaks. This movie was a subversion, but here's the thing, though. Later on,
I don't think it was a good idea.
Overall. No. Okay. Here's the thing. It's nice that they did a subversion. That's interesting to some people, but they already had female monsters. There's the Wild Woman trilogy with Aquanetta in it. We're gonna see Aquanetta later, in Lost Continent. There's She Creature, I think. There's Wasp Woman that we'll see later. So they're like, hey, women can be scary monsters too. We always have the men do it. We could have ladies do it too. I think the subversion would be that she actually is trying to make her think she's the she-wolf, but actually Martha is the she-wolf in reality. She is a werewolf. And Hannah somehow believes in the legend. And she's got a silver implement.
Yeah, I just had an idea that maybe there's there's the young side of her that's naive and but at the same time there's this wovenly spirit that is also deep within her.
Yeah.
That it comes out and you could throw in some of the fantastical monologuing, I guess, in there.
Yeah, sure.
But an air of naivety at the same time as an air of the wisdom of the wolves gone by. Right. And the instincts,
she talks about pagan
what do
rights
wolves think about? What is a wolf's objective? And build that into her personality.
Well, it's a freedom. You have a freedom. She's not free. She could be I don't feel free, and then but when I'm a wolf, I feel free. That's kind of awesome.
Maybe like a sort of reckless, your a desperation that rocks out, that comes out in aggression in what is necessary to survive.
Right.
Maybe she gets a little paranoid.
Animal
people.
instinct. Yeah.
But I feel like they had to do she's a soft maidenly character for all these. They don't do they have to have an image of woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ambition of these Universal movies are just ebbing away with the budget.
Yeah.
All this is
they are.
What if we subvert the expectation? And that's it. It's
there's
not
a
wolf.
There's a lot of good movies in the 40s, and hopefully we'll do one of those where we watch a lot of the ones we missed just to watch them. To watch them, yeah.
I think about how, in the general movie medium, there's, a certain space in the industry, dramas, comedies, romance movies, shows.
Yeah.
That they're just, pumped out with, a single idea based on them. It's like, let's have a pitch idea that gets across to people, make it, slap it out there. Can you think of some examples? I had one or two, but it'd be cool to hear some of your examples you can think of.
Are you talking about a studio that
put
out is a certain genre?
Like a sect of the industry that
I wouldn't say a sect of the industry. I think there are certain studios or production groups that
a certain type of show.
Things. Well, okay. Will Ferrell has a group called Dirty Sanchez, and they come up with comedies, just comedies. I've never seen anything really I could be wrong, but they don't come up with anything like dramatic. I don't think. It's mostly comedies. Blumhouse Productions, they do horror. They've done horror mostly, horror or thrillers. A24 just does higher level stuff. That's not all horror. If you see A24, it might be horror. It might be a thriller. It might just be good. So I'm not sure. I do know that, if there's a group that like you said, you mentioned the Hallmark movies.
Yeah, I was about to mention
those are going to be like rom-coms, or they might be
they're like Netflix originals or Prime originals.
So many Christmas things, yeah.
A lot of those are just let's have one idea and execute this.
Yeah. There's some production companies that are really focused on those kind of things. I think there's a producer that his name is Dick Wolf, and Dick Wolf comes up with like crime stuff, a lot of cop dramas. There's some groups that only come out with like cop dramas and cop adjacent stuff, like
and
Law
it's
and
like
Order.
Literally all you can really do with that is crime. Like what's the crime of the day? What's interesting about this?
Well, that's what Law and Order did a lot of.
It's also an interesting thing about Street Sharks
from the headlines.
Shows back in the day like Street Sharks and
okay.
I don't know, Aerial Monsters maybe, or I'm thinking of some of the stuff we did a tier list of that
I think
are
of Street Sharks.
Street Sharks is literally just
I think
like
of a style.
what if there were but what if there were sharks, but they're super sharks?
Well,
throw them in.
I didn't like Street Sharks as much as I liked Tiger Sharks. Tiger Sharks was,
G.I. Joe, soldier with a laser gun.
It was all Thundercats. You remember Thundercats? They had Thundercats.
A cat team.
Then you had Silverhawks, and you had Tiger Sharks. It was just, what if these were, anthropomorphic whatevers? And then of course you had I don't know if they weren't copying off the Ninja Turtles, but it was all one, kind of.
Yeah,
thing.
they made so many of those.
Anthro people, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I actually feel like Aerial Monsters has more of an original idea though, so I will retract that one. But
I think it is more original. So
another one, or the last one that I've thought of, the anime industry.
Oh,
especially they pump out stuff all the time. They come up with like one idea, 12 episodes, slap on a ridiculous title, and you're there.
Yes, but wait a minute. Anime is a medium.
Yes, that's why I said a medium.
Yeah. It's not a genre. Anime is not a genre. Anime, can have 15,000 different genres that just use anime as a medium. I mean, there can be thrillers, there can be comedies, like slice of life, romance, mecha. I said horror already.
Yeah, but most of the time when they make something of a genre, a lot of them are just like single idea, like it's another mecha or another magical Mahojo.
Those don't last though. Those don't last because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's just a copy off of whatever." I mean, even Magica Madoka, I think is what it's called. That one is actually shows what it's like to be one of those magical girl kind of characters. Is you're dealing with the world ending.
Yeah, I think it's a Precure. Precure is a large
Pretty Cure,
series
yeah.
where they make one every year. And it's basically the same thing. Basically the
remake
same
it?
thing.
They just
Except they go
remake the
like,
same
oh,
idea?
this one's about animals, this one's about food, this one's about music.
Oh, right.
And then
Yeah,
give
themes.
it 12 or 24 episodes. And that's it.
Themes. Yeah. It reminds
there
me of
was
like
one-
the Power Ranger kind of characters, Sentai's. Yeah.
Yeah, or some of those as well. There was one recently that's had some memes about it. The Shikanoko, Noko Noko Koshtantan show. It's also called My Dear Friend Nokotan.
God bless you. You sound
Yes.
like you're sneezing.
It's a nonsense title, but basically it's like there's this girl who's a deer and attracts CGI deer, and it's crazy. And there's this girl who's like, I want to be the perfect girl, but this deer girl is messing with my life and my image. And it's hilarious. And that's like the whole thing.
Okay.
But I do feel like that one, I think people like it because it subverts being a good show. I guess is the idea.
You mean you expect it to be a good show, and it goes, nope, we suck.
Yeah, or rather that you expect there to be like like plot arcs or something, but there's none, or like events make sense at all, but no, they don't. Like the character lifts their head out and pours tea out of it.
Oh, the you're kind of doing like surreal.
Or just they casually selling off their own antlers and eating them, and it's like, okay. Stuff like that.
Well, what about Slice of Life? Slice of Life is that it doesn't have an overarching, real big, story arc. It's, hey, this week we have to, make some muffins for the bake sale. I mean, it's nothing, but it's about the characters and how they relate to each other.
Yeah, those are character based, and I feel like that there is a difference about that if you have something to carry a show. But if you're just carrying it off of one idea, which is, this genre, we add this element, go, 12 episodes. They do that all the time. They are constantly pumping out stuff. I'm pretty sure they're
who came up with the idea?
10 different shows.
Who came up with the idea for this movie? And who was in it?
Funnily enough, I did decide not to cover the director and the actors for time.
I know one of the actors. I said it was June Lockhart, and she was in Lost in Space.
I would have looked up stuff about the director, but I was like, I don't have enough time.
Gene Yarbrough is the director. That's all I remember. And Ben Pivar of the Mummy movies, was the producer. That's all I remember.
Una O'Connor was originally going to be the protag, but they dropped in favor of Eileen Mallon.
Oh no! You mean Hannah, the Hannah character?
Yeah, the Hannah character.
Okay, I could relate to that. I thought you were saying that the Phyllis.
But that would have been
the
dreadful from the movies we've seen, and we wouldn't have that good acting from
Una O'Connor can do a dramatic role. She's done it before. I just haven't seen it. I've heard of stuff that she's been in. She's done dramatic roles, but she's in the Universal world. She's famous for being over the top.
But yeah, she gives very exhausted maid energy.
Yeah, this lady did a good job.
Yeah,
I don't see problems with her acting.
Funnily enough, Forrester Harvey, who was Una O'Connor's husband in The Invisible Man, remember the tavern owners?
Yeah,
that's who they were. He was also Beamish from Tarzan the Ape Man, right? Was also set to star in this film, but he died rather in the middle of the schedule for them making this.
Wow, that stinks.
But yeah, the film was shot from December 8th to 21st. Apparently this was 3 days over schedule, which means this was a theoretical 10-day shoot.
That's not that long.
No, it's not.
And strangely enough, this movie, if you ever want to watch this movie, guys, you out there in internet land, it's only an hour long. It's an hour and a minute.
All the movies we've been doing really have been. And
yeah, they've been somewhere between an hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
So you said Don Porter was the director?
Don Porter played Barry Landfield, which was the main love interest guy.
He said during the last days of shooting, namely during a car scene, like, they're driving a car and there's green screen background with, they do that.
Yeah.
They trapped everyone in the set so that people couldn't escape to all the Christmas parties that are happening on the other sets. Because, if you recall, this is December 8th to December 21st. It's Christmas season on the
Christmas time, Christmas parties, right.
They're having Christmas parties on the 20th, which is like, surely you wouldn't be having it on the 23rd. But, I guess everyone's got to, like, accommodate for time. And, especially since the shoot ends before Christmas begins.
Right.
But, they were so famished that they had to smuggle in sandwiches to complete the shoot. Because they're like, we can't go on. We can't go on.
Oh, wow.
They had to smuggle in sandwiches. And it's like, is this like, no crust triangle sandwich? Or like big
Is that what you're thinking about?
Or like finger sandwiches?
Were they cutting triangles?
If they were finger sandwiches, how many ounces of finger sandwiches did they have to smuggle in order to be ready to shoot?
I don't know. You don't need that much.
It'd be funny to just be carrying like a whole bunch of finger sandwiches, scooping by the armful. Just
oh my word!
The image of like 4 people just like grabbing those.
Double fisting.
Yeah. Apparently, the smoke in the park murders scenes were made it difficult to do those because the talk in those less risk choking.
Because
they described it like bee
smoke.
Yes, like the smoke out bees. June Lockhart recalled the film was fun to do. If I'm remembering right, I was just submitted for it by my agent, which, industry man. I did it and I was not very good in it. But the following year, I was the hot ingenue on Broadway in a wonderful comedy. So I guess that's what I needed in She-Wolf was a good direction.
Okay.
So she just had to be put in the industry, I guess. But who did June Lockhart play?
Gotten her. June Lockhart played Phyllis.
Okay.
The main character, the She-Wolf herself.
Trying to judge how correct her, how correct her opinion in her acting is, and I'm like, it's
well. Honestly, she got more famous as she grew up. She was playing like a lot of motherly types.
Yeah, June Lockhart definitely has like a name that has that connotation.
Yeah, and she worked for a long time.
Because June just gives this azure maturity,
It does, and she's been in some good stuff and some really terrible stuff, but she was working. You got to keep working.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some actors that just are constantly in movies, like, guys like Christopher Walken, he loves to work.
Yeah, various people were like, this movie is, critics were like, this movie is dry and boring. The authors of the book Universal Horrors said was the chiller horror fans love to hate.
Yes.
It's a chill horror, I guess. Slice of life horror.
A chiller. It's not a thriller, it's a chiller. It's kind of like a low-key thrill. Your mother told me that you were bored by this movie. You were just like...
Yeah, I told her I was bored like twice.
Well, that's what William thinks about this movie, and I kind of agree.
Yeah, but then they're honest, like, oh, those horror themes? This supernatural thing was not caused by that. And they were like, why couldn't this have been a whodunit? Someone said that this film was more like a silent film.
Okay.
Gene Yarnborough and cameraman Maury Gertzman did their best to liven things up with odd camera angles. In other words, Dutch angles.
Yeah.
Especially during the end. Literally just Dutch angles.
Or some close-ups, yeah.
And moody mise-en-scene. I don't know what the...
mise-en-scene.
I don't know what the thing above the E is pronounced like.
No, it's French. Mise-en-scene means...
Yes, I know. But...
Okay, yeah. It means that, like, if you...
I don't know if it's like mise-en-scene.
Well, you didn't put fake... you didn't use special effects to put things into the scene. They
didn't need any.
Yeah, you put the stuff out in the scene, and the actors are playing to it at the same time. Like, if you put fog, you put real fog out there.
Yeah, the end of the quote is that this was all wasted on a B picture.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's not very memorable. Honestly, I'm gonna forget this. I'm gonna forget this movie in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean,
this movie was part of a double bill with The Cat Creeps, which came out the same year because they came out together. They double bill for economical convenience of independent theaters, and then I was reminded of the double billing and stuff. What are they doing with independent theaters? And I was like, wasn't there something about that? So I'm gonna work in recapping what is happening this year with the Universal stuff. We talked about earlier, I think it was in season 2, one of the first half of season 2's episodes. We were talking about the Lemleys. Universal got into budget mode in the early 40s due to Standard Capital taking over the Lemleys. Universal did not currently have a theater chain, as the Lemleys abandoned that idea, because they were like, oh, we're going to make a theater chain, but we don't have money, because we have to sell this thing off. They were in receivership, I think was the word.
Right.
So that's why they were making it convenient for independent theaters, as well as, B productions are very easy to pump out for the theaters. In 1946, Universal merged with International Pictures to become Universal International, and they reduced all the B pictures and made rates 35 films a year from the wartime about 50. But they would also start selling home media. I think there's a Castle Films that they hired to sell home media to movie buffs. They would sell reels to them.
Yeah.
Home media, I guess.
People would, but it was
not on television.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
They didn't start showing some of this stuff till the 50s.
Yeah,
50s.
I still haven't done research into the invention of television, but that discussion will come in due time. They would still struggle along with their best being the Abbott and Costello movies during this time where they were cutting back from movies until Sci-Fi swept them up in the 50s, and then that's obviously where they would go to. Something we'll get to later from the late 50s to the early 60s is the merger with Music Corporation of America, which would make them the A-film studio we know today. And we'll discuss that when we get to it. But it's a little interesting, merging with a music corporation. It reminded me a little bit of MTV, which was it's music and it's movies or television at the same time.
Well, it used to be, honestly, MTV used to be music videos.
Then they did reality shows.
And then there's people that actually remember when it was music videos, and I do.
But many people also like the reality shows. I think there was one that was Love Bus or something, where you invite someone onto a bus, you date them, then you kick them off the bus.
Or Singled Out, or Beavis and Butthead, Liquid Television.
That's a cartoon.
But those are TV shows that showed up on MTV first.
Interesting. I thought they would have. I swear Warner Brothers did have a TV channel, but it's not like the WB Kids thing.
CW?
I don't remember.
Did you whenever I looked up She-Wolf of London, I did see one other thing. Did you see this?
There's a TV show.
There's a TV show. It came out in the 90s, right?
Yes.
I looked at some of the pictures of the lady's hair, and it was all poofy, looked like 90s. I was like, that's 90s hair. That's 100% 90s hair with the hairspray in it. Oh, goodness. But the makeup didn't look terrible. What did you see any look at any pictures of it?
No, but I feel like it would definitely be quite similar to a Buffy sort of thing, but she's the monster.
There was, and I watched some episodes of this, and I have some
effects built in.
I watched a show in the 90s. It was in the early 90s. It was called Werewolf. And it was literally about a guy who turns into a werewolf and a werewolf hunter who's trying to come after him. And I have these it's really interesting. And they used some interesting effects and some camera angles and some weird stuff. And I'm like, at least the person is a werewolf. In this movie, she's not a werewolf. But in She-Wolf of London,
it's going to be really hard
she
to
is a werewolf.
thumbnail this. because people are like, you know, what She-Wolf of London? That's a lady.
Right, and thinking one of the thumbnails, I've got it where she's looking at her hands.
We already are like, you know, at our max limit with really what we can do with thumbnails. By just finding a good picture to put in there, it's a bit difficult to convey the idea. But
so how are you going to convey that? Right.
How are you going to convey woman thumbnail? Then they have to look down and go, oh, She-Wolf of London. I've heard of that movie. Let's go see.
Honestly, well, let's put it this way. I don't think people are going to be doing, I don't know, guys, what you think, but I don't think you're going to be doing backflips to listen to what we think about this movie. But the thing is, you're going on a journey with us, and we're discovering movies that they're okay. I mean, there's nothing to write home about, and some of them are so bad, like The Ape Man or Return of the Ape Man, that we just kind of just marvel at them and go, "There's plenty to talk about."
Yeah, the last
this
movie.
Is crazy.
The last movie was. I learned a new word for this: reticent.
Reticent.
As in. I didn't click the little thing that speaks it out for you when I looked up the word.
Right, okay. What would you say that it means in your way?
It means it doesn't tell you things.
It
same
holds
with,
back
like,
information,
the Return of the Ape Man. I was sort of like, that feels a little reticent as well. It's like, it doesn't tell you anything about, who these characters are, or like, establishes it in any sort of sane or theoretically convenient way, I guess.
Oh, you're talking about House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula.
Yes, House of Dracula.
Yeah.
They were just like, this guy is, everyone goes to him for no reason.
They don't have to give a reason. They just tell you.
People go
here's
to
the thing.
Here's
Here's
the
a
thing.
fact, and it's a lot easier to.
He wants to be cured, but he doesn't want to be cured.
It's a lot easier just to say something. We're so used to show don't tell, but they're like, it's cheaper if we just tell you, right, that he's a great doctor. We don't have to show him working and doing all this expensive filming we have to do. We can just tell him he's the best. He's the best doctor ever. You don't have to show him being the best doctor ever. You just have to have somebody say it. It's a lot cheaper. And these people are trying to save money.
And was talking about earlier about, how the fine balance of world building in a story where you're like, or just general like building of the event, the lore, the events, what's going on, who these characters are, what you need to leave out versus leave in for, time's sake. And obviously you can't write every single little detail about every single little person and investigate all the things about them, but you can sure make it believable. You can sure make them believable, alive characters.
Yes, and the thing is, everything
and they didn't do that.
It's
reticent.
Everything that happened in House of Dracula and House of Frankenstein, I don't think happened in real life. But I will tell you this: the stuff that happened in She-Wolf of London could happen.
This movie is merely just simple, and they did not have a good idea.
No, but it could happen. It could happen in real life. You could convince somebody
canceled this
that they're a wolf. Yeah, you could convince somebody that they're crazy. It's called gaslighting. It happens all the time.
It's not even that she was insane on her own merits. It's that she was being, I guess, drugged into it.
If you are in a relationship, whether friendly or more than friendly with somebody, whatever it is, and they're gaslighting you, take it from me, just leave. Make like a tree and leave that relationship. This has been a special message from Jason and William with Cinematic Fantastic.
Yeah, although obviously as situations are complicated and it's hard to blanket a statement over everything. Just so you know, it still is good to get advice from like therapists and stuff.
Yes, talk to somebody that you trust.
Very complicated.
Make sure they have broad shoulders so they can carry the weight. Metaphorically speaking, I mean, they could have real broad shoulders if you want.
Yeah, everyone is different.
Metaphorically
speaking, therapists might not. There's always you have to find the right one, and what to do is hard. It's hard.
Yeah, but here's my advice on that too. I don't want to get too deep on that, but just because a therapist is challenging you doesn't mean that they're not right for you. You don't want a therapist that just says and smiles and nods and says, you're just fine. You're all right. You need somebody to kind of call you on your nonsense and go, this thinking that you're doing is not helpful.
But at the same time, if you happen to catch one that's just phoning it in, right? That's not a good thing at all.
Yeah, if you look at their little sheet of paper that they're writing things on and they're like drawing pictures, you're like, no, leave. So that's not the therapist for you. But anyway, thank you. This has been have a good night.
Yeah,
in
you're recap, that's what I think about this movie and the last movie, because I did not really say what I thought about that last movie because I finished it 10 minutes before recording time. This one, I actually finished in afternoon, technically. So
you had a little while to think about it.
I had a little while to think about it.
And even then, you're confused.
I think this movie is not a good idea. They should not have gone forward with it. There's no way to make that work. But until next time, what are we covering next?
Oh, baby. It's not Rocket Ship FM. We have another one called Rocket Ship FM. It's just called Rocket Ship. And it is the first serials of Flash Gordon edited down to like an hour or so movie. So
the inspiration for Star Wars.
Yes.
One of the inspirations for the style of Star Wars.
Yes.
Here in 1940 whatever.
Starring Buster Crabbe as the that's not his real name, by the way. Starring Buster Crabbe as Flash Gordon, and Charles Middleton plays Ming the Merciless, the evil villain who has been copied so many times by different people. But yeah, go find this movie and watch if you want to. You can kill an hour.
Don't have to. It's not part of anything.
If you're having trouble falling asleep and you don't have any warm milk nearby, watch this movie. This is for you. You'll be out like a light in no time.
Yeah.
Promise you.
So let's pour milk on the podcast.
All right. Here we go.
Okay, don't literally pour milk.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Cinematic Fantastic Podcast. Click here and here for some more excellent content. Hope you'll enjoy it. See you soon!